Welcome back, one and all. We're here for round number 3 in the Asia Cup with the C4 category, and we're ready to get qualifying underway at the Shanghai International Circuit. Cars just coming out onto their opening couple of laps. We're in a flash of rain there, but it seems to be dry conditions for the start of qualifying, with dark skies ahead couldn't suggest otherwise. With people coming on the medium tyres, looks like that could indicate potentially a dry start to the race. I think the ideal strategy around this circuit is medium to hard or hard to medium, and we'll see what everyone opts to go with. So if you guys on softs already, who is at the front of the train? It looks like it could be it's the other Williams of ends at the front, leading. I think it's got the Renault just behind, not the Haas, Renault just behind, and that is Raul. So these guys are fighting at the top of the championship at the moment, with ends in 4th, Raul up in P2, as Raul now takes the lead of the formation lap. But the rain is definitely out in this session, so the guys might be trying to get on with this as quickly as possible. Don't know if it's going to intensify, but every single person is out on an out lap at the moment. So this could be qualifying in this, well, opening run of laps, because the rain is definitely there. You see on the camera now, yeah, it almost seems it's intensifying since the start of the session. No one on inters, so some guys definitely opting for soft, so they could have a massive advantage at the start of this session. But we've got the Ferrari and the Red Bull both on hard, but we follow Raul for his qualifying lap. The first man to set the lap, he's got ends behind him, and it looks like it could be the other Williams, Lashma, the third person on track, going to turn 1. Then of course that switches into turn 2. There's the ever tightening snail section of this, and you drop down the hill into the tricky turn 3 now. Got to ease the power on. A little bit squirmish there from Raul under the rear, but keeps it all together now as he runs through the kink of 5 towards turn number 6. And so far he seems to have kept it all together, and it seems as he accelerates out, he's got ends just behind. I think they've both set pretty much similar. We've got a car off in the sector 1 as well, so that could really hamper the racing point of the Mighty Frax, the only racing point racing here today. But at the front, everyone seems to be fine, but that could have impacted quite a few cars. There's a yellow flag in sector 2 as well, maybe for the McLaren, but he seems to be fine at the moment as well. And as he comes now, you see the rain is definitely getting heavy. You can see that visually. If anything, it's almost streaming off the halo. And now as he comes, well, no, I think there's McLaren, the other McLaren seems to have gone off as well, and that's causing a bit of carnage down just before turn number 9. But Raul completely clear of everything. Got 5 plates grid penalty for Sam H as well. So there's a lot of kerfuffle over there. See if we can try and get involved in any of it. You see Tonga's gone off, and looks like Latchman and the Williams of Sam H not having a good run of things as well. But Raul coming out of the hairpin while all this is happening as he runs towards the final corner. I think Enz has caught up to him. You can see that visually, to be honest, potentially. Coming across the line, it's 1 minute 40 for Raul on the medium compound tyres. Enz will be the next person across the line, and he is actually almost a second further back. So I got that very wrong indeed. Dopeman moves up into P2, 10th and a half behind Raul. So the two guys at the top of the championship, first and second at the moment. See further back in the field, Liam's got fastest on the soft compound tyres, 9/10 quicker than Raul. JC goes into 6th, Renz into 4th. So both Alphas going on the soft tyres again, like they did last round. Pete has gone into P8, now composite P7 on the mediums. Brandon P6. I think these guys with the slower times were the ones potentially getting involved with, well, what happened in the middle sector. As DRS has been disabled now, so the rain is definitely intensifying, and I mean this could be qualifying. DRS disabling normally indicates the end of dry running in a in the race or in a session. So guys on their out laps, this will be his lap ultimately. Lashman had his lap invalidated, unfortunately. Hayward, I think, might have got caught up in everything. His right Karma's gone off as well, and that's down at turn number 13 just before the long back straight. Somebody's been disqualified as well from, I think, that coming together as at the double apex of 9 and 10. But what a hectic start to the session. You definitely see the rain is getting heavier. And it's very treacherous under traction. It looks like it is for all the guys. Taking it easy as right, it comes gone off. Down at turn number 14. And is anyone else setting a lap? It's like Goot is now about to start his flying lap now as he comes towards turn number 1. Of course, you see, just so easy now in this wet weather to just to lose it. But of course, getting a lap in can gain him quite a lot of positions now. And he's missing quite a bit of his front wing as well. That on his front left-hand side, I mean, he's missing more than just the end fence there. And that's going to cost him dearly, especially in these treacherous conditions. And I think it might just be a case of the Rebel Man just getting a lap in, which could mean he'll stay ahead of a lot of people. He's gone purple in the first sector, but I'm sure he's not. Hayward on an outlap. He's actually on the intermediates. So, yeah, the rain is definitely intermediate conditions now as he scoots past Goot. And, yeah, I mean, judging by the fact that Hayward is out on inters, I think we are done for qualifying. I think Liam has got pole position in the Alfa Romeo. I think it's Rowling P2, Doberman 4th, Renzalang P4, 5th for Renz, Brandon 6th, JC 7th, Composite 8th, Pete 9th and Undertaker 10th. And then the rest of the field is just going to be sorted out from, well, who can be the quickest on the inters. 2 sets of qualifying, it looks like. Hayward's on his outlap on the inters at the moment. See what tyres anyone who's out on. Yeah, we got Mighty Frax. Speaking of Mighty Frax, on the inters as well, and seems gone off. So treacherous in the intermediate conditions at the moment. Doesn't look like we're moving into full wet as things stands, but Lashmat has come out on his outlap on the medium, so giving it a go on the slick tyres, and you see very treacherous around turn number 6. And he'll see what Goose still on his opening lap. Hayward's about to start his flying lap on the intermediate tyres now. Runs towards turn 1. We'll see what his grip levels are like as he goes into the very tricky, ever tightening snail corners. That is turn 1, 2, and then down into 3. So right, it comes coming out on the inters as well now. So these guys at the front, guys who are at the top of the timesheets, coming out on inters as well now. So that could suggest maybe they trying to get a few more laps in, or the fact that we could have wet/inter conditions in the race, and they just want to get a feel for the car in these conditions. But Hayward, not a bad first sector considering the conditions. And to be fair, he could be challenging maybe the back end of that top 10. Some of the guys who started on dries, if he can keep this keep the momentum up that he had in the first part of the lap. Of course, Hayward currently 10th in the championship, 8 points to his name. He's been a bit unlucky in it there again. He's been a bit unlucky, just manages to avoid the wall, but getting a bit wide and onto the AstroTurf and losing the rear end completely there was the Mercedes, but he kept it together well there, to be fair to him. And now easing onto that back straight, trying to get the power down as quickly as he can. And as he moves on to the kilometre long back straight, no DRS of course, so that will be something that will hamper him. And he runs towards turn number 14. Picks his braking spot. Can he get it slowed down in conditions? Pretty perfect as he clips the apex, and then trying to carry as much speed as he can, taking that dry line that we've already got forming. You can quite clearly see in the middle of the track, and as he comes around the final corner, I think he will be in the 40s. I don't think he'll be quick enough to jump Pete, but it will be P10, 1 minute 48.1. Good lap from Hayward on the inters. Mighty Frax further back, starting a lap now. Goes on a lap on the inters as well, and last one came straight back into the pits. Decided it wasn't worth it on the... losing the back end a tiny bit, there was rings, but last one decided the medium tyres were not going to be quick enough in these conditions. I've got to say, I'm still not sure what the conditions are going to be like during the race. That's something I have to wait and see. But definitely Great call from the guys at the start, getting out and getting out early to get their laps in, and they got it done at the right time. And they avoided all the traffic as well, because that was a big problem on the opening lap. And we'll see at the moment. It's clear during the race. We have a clear race. I've got confirmation there just from Rao. It is completely dry race. So the guys who are in the top 10, if they started... Ooh! If you qualify on the Inters and you're in the top 10, do you have a start on them? Because it's a dry... I assume not, but I assume the guys who are on dry tyres in the top 10 have to start on them if we have a clear race. I mean, that would be something interesting to see if they're forced onto the Inters. We know what Codemaster likes. The yellow flag. I think you might have had a small error coming out of the final corner as he's just about to start his lap, I think. The Ren's on the Inters. See what time he does. He runs a little bit wide coming out of turn number 14. And towards the final corner, he carries on instead, opting not to finish that lap. So Liam's set to 28 in the first sector, so not as quick as Haywood from earlier, but still a good time nonetheless. We'll see guys further back in the field. This is their qualifying ultimately as Goo. I think that error into turn one, he might just be having a cool down lap and waiting to go again the following lap. Riley Calmer, another person who needs to have a good lap on the Inters to try and help his qualifying. Goes a little bit deep but keeps it well. He's going to try and get a good exit now, keep it clean on the run towards the final corner. Down into fourth gear and he's in overtake mode, ready to blast towards the line. A little bit on the curve there, getting a little bit squirmy, but keeps it all together. And he goes up into P10, jumping Haywood there. So 5 tenths quicker on the intermediate tyres for the Renault man, and he takes 10th position. See further back down the field. Mighty Fractions unfortunately has invalidated his lap, so we'll have to try and go again in a moment's time. We'll see how he's Goo on a lap at the moment. Latchmat seem... I'm not sure. He's on a lap yet as well on the Inters. Another person who needs to get the most out of these intermediate tyres. Another 28.1. They're in striking distance of the top 10. Still 4.5 minutes left in this session, so we've got Mercedes coming out. Is that Haywood? Haywood or Brand? I assume it is Haywood where he is. Try and maybe even jump Pete, who qualified on the dry compound. As I think Goose said his first lap there. I think we'll be going again after a small error at the start. We've got the Renault's gone off. I've already come onto the AstroTurf, so maybe just getting us a bit light in the tyres, a bit too much on the slippy AstroTurf, and he'll have to. He set a good lap to be fair on the intermediate tyres. I think he is the quickest Inter runner. Yeah, currently in P10. So we'll see how he gets on and if he can hold on to that position. Haywood's on an out lap. Frack's in the pits. Liam's on a lap at the moment as well, but as Lashmack comes towards the end of his lap, we'll see if he can, where he will throw himself up the leaderboard, whether he can get anywhere near that top 10, that 10th position, which is the battle on the intermediates at the moment. As he runs towards the line, he goes into P10, just 400ths clear of Riley Calmer in the Renault, and so far he is the best of the Inter runners. As things stand with yellow flag, I don't know who that's for. I think it's the Mercedes. I think Haywood just getting prepared for his next push on the Inters. As Riley Calmer comes into the pits, we've got JC out on track at the moment, getting a feel for the car. I think just wanted to do something rather than just sitting in the garage. It's only setting a lap on the intermediate tyres. Getting a feel for his Ferrari. I think this is his first outing in the Asia Cup in RLH for the Cup, so he'll be hoping for a good result, good qualifying in P7 at the moment. Fortunately, his teammate, I think, might have got involved in the carnage that ensued on the first lap of dry running. Getting on the curb a bit there is the Ferrari man. But good luck to JC today for his first race. If I'm correct as well, Tonka in the Haas also having his first race as well. So good luck to the new guys today. I hope they have a nice clean race and get involved with some good racing. Gu currently lap as well. It's gone up, completely oblivious of it all. Gu has gone on 146. I think it's getting drier as well now. The rain has stopped and Gu managed to go into the 46s, jumping Pete. And surely now is the time for the Interrunners to set a lap, as it definitely is drying up. I don't think it will dry enough. I mean, you could risk it right at the death for a run on slicks. And I mean, Undertaker has taken that risk. And that could be a big gain for him, as the track is all of a sudden looking like it could be bone dry in a minute or two's time, and Undertaker could be taking full advantage of this. Tonka and JC are brothers, so another battle for the new guys as well. A battle between the brothers, between the Ferrari and the Haas. But Undertaker could have put what tyres the guys have got fitted on. Is any of the guys at the front coming out on? We got Ren's gone wide, lost it on the medium tyres. Liam has gone out again on Inters. But I'm very interested on Undertaker's progress on his flying lap. Mighty Frax tantalising close to his first sector time. And he'll be hoping he can try and throw himself up the order. Currently down in P14. We've got Hayward coming to the end of his lap. Massive improvement so far for Mercedes, 1.2 seconds up, and he could be looking to go P9, best of the Interrunners at the moment for the Mercedes driver. I think that will be his qualifying done. It looks like he's just backing off this lap, so that's where he'll be at the moment. Mighty Frax 1.8 seconds up, so massive improvements as Undertaker has lost it on the final, run towards the line, and I think he'll still push for this lap. But that will compromise him, to say the least. Locking up into the turn number 14 is the Mighty Frax. He made massive improvements in the middle sector now as he runs towards the final corner. Where will this time put the Renault driver? Going through turn number 16. Where's this going to put him? It would definitely be an improvement to him, but unfortunately he stays P14 despite the 1.3 second improvement. How is Undertaker faring? And I mean, that is how Undertaker is faring, as DRS is enabled, so it is time for slicks, but he's, I think, abandoned that attempt and is out of qualifying. So Hayward looks to be the only man on a potential lap, and I think he is going for it. Not too sure. He's 3.4 seconds down, so that is qualifying done and dusted for the C4 in the Asia Cup here at the Shanghai International Circuit, and it is pole for the Alfa Romeo of Liam. And he's got Rao and Dopey Man, the two main championship protagonists, but of course Brandon in the hunt as well. Of course we still only had 2 rounds. There's still a lot of points left to fight for. But of course, a great lap from Liam, getting it in getting in early on the softs as well, gets him pole position. 1:30.1. The only man getting under the 1:40 mark. But Rao and Dopey Man, close battle for P2 right at the start of the session. Renz Lang in P4 at the P4 for him. Ends, of course, getting pole in the first round, is in P5. Brandon is 6th, JC 7th, Composite 8th, Hayward 9th, Gu 10th, Pete is P11, Latchmat is 13th in the Williams, Riley Karma in the Renault 13th, Mighty Frax 14th, Undertaker is 15th, and 16th, 17th and 18th are Tonka's skipper and Sam H respectively. I think all got involved in that opening couple of laps kerfuffle at the start of qualifying. And nonetheless, that is qualifying done and dusted, and with what seems to be a completely clear race, it should be very interesting as the guys can push to their heart's content now on the dry track. But it is Liam who takes pole on the softs, importantly. So I think that will be the tyre he has to start on. Got Rowell in P2, Dopeman 3, who are both on mediums, so that'll be something to watch out for, as they have theoretically the optimal strategy around China. Of course, a safety car or VSC can throw a spanner in the works to that end. And Brandon also on the mediums, JC on the hards, Composite 8th, also on the mediums, and then it's the start of the Interrunners with Hayward, Gu, Pete after his initial hard lap decided not to and go for another improvement. So it's 11th, but of course gets a free choice of tyre nonetheless, starting in outside the top 10. So as we wait for the grid to choose strategies, choose fuel loads, and of course with a dry race, that might be something to factor in. Is just we've got a bit of a dark sky, but judging from what I've heard, we have a clear race for the 28 laps that are ahead of us this evening. As we just wait for everyone, of course, fuel loads might be something important to consider here with a long back straight. Might use more than you potentially, you normally would, putting it up into Richmond on the straight to utilise the DRS, utilise the toe as much as you can. But of course that will compromise you in the corners and potentially on the race start as well. As we just wait for a few more. We're just waiting for Tonka at the moment. Or are we? We'll have to wait and see what happens here. I'm hoping it is not a bug. And it's not a bug. Oh, he's been kicked from the session, I think. So hopefully he can try and jump back in. We have 18 runners ready for the start of this Chinese Grand Prix. And leading them underway around the formation lap is Liam in the Alfa Romeo. In P2 we have Raul. Third is Dopeman, currently leading the championship by just a single point from Raul the Renault, who starts in front of him today. Of course they're only separated by, well, a single fastest lap at the moment as things stand. It's actually the Mercedes team who are on top in the championship though. Of course Brandon in P3, just 4 points adrift from P2. Got Rensdelang in P4. The Alphas having great pace during qualifying in all the races this year, but being a bit unfortunate in the races, it must be said. So hopefully the two Alphas can jump back up in during the race today. As we just play around with some of the settings before we get going, and then we should be all ready to go. See who's on what tyre. See, pretty much apart from the two Alfa Romeos, everyone, I think from Hayward down really, Hayward's gone for the hard tyre, so going long into this race, but everyone else mediums. We've got a few guys at the back on hard tyres as well, so I've been hoping to utilise the optimal strategy. But of course, of turn 1 we could be seeing a little bit of carnage potentially. Of course, with the ever tightening turn 1 and then turn 2, and we switch the other way to drop down into turn 3, we could have a very treacherous opening lap. Of course, with the mixture of starting tyres as well, we're running different grip levels for the drivers. There's Liam, who is leading the formation lap for his first pole of the Asia Cup. Right behind, who I think has got involved in a little thing with his championship rival Dopeman on the formation lap, so they've been jumped back to the grid along with Rensdelang. But ends in P5 will be the next person to come towards the grid as we just wait for the rest of the field, who are coming out of course that tight hairpin of turn number 14, one of the best overtaking spots on the track, well, the best overtaking spot on the track, and one of the best overtaking spots on the calendar, it must be said. As Sam H rounds the final corner in his McLaren, we await the lights, and Liam will have his eyes staring at them, waiting for them to come on. And as the McLaren joins up into his grid slot, Liam, and the lights will be here soon. Liam raring to get go, I'm sure, from pole position. But as the lights are here now, we have 2, 3, 4 and 5. And it's lights out and away we go in Shanghai. And it seems to be a great start for Rao, and Dopeman as well is already alongside and ahead into turn 1. There could be contact between them. Rao just ducks out to avoid it, I think, there. But back through the field. Ends, as I think, drop down. He's dropping down as P5. Good compromise there. We could have 3 abreast into here, but further back in the field. Dive from the hash down the inside. Good move from him. Utilised the Red Bull, runs a little bit wide, but everyone seems to have got through cleanly, it must be said. And further up at the front, it's Liam, who's just about hold on to lead. Doberman trying to go round the outside, but on the inside, they're still side by side between them and further back as well. There's a battle between Rao and Brandon for P3. Doberman is slotted into first position, but side by side with Liam, and he gets in front. Rao has hold on to P3 as further back. We have Composite getting past Renzo Lang, who's not had a great start on the soft compound tyres. And Doberman has lost the position at the front as well, and dropping now down into second place. And that's going to concertina the pack as well, as JC getting wide there, and he's now side by side with Enns, running towards turn number 11, and down the inside goes the Williams driver. He's going to try and hold it around the outside. Is the Ferrari on the hards, but might just not have the grip to do it. They're still side by side, and Mercedes of Hayward looking in the background. There's contact between Hayward and the Ferrari, and JC's off and into the barrier. Front wing damage for the Ferrari. He's dropped right down the order now, but side by side now is the battle between Rao. He's weaving on. We've got a virtual safety car, and that's going to stop the battle down into turn number 14. But Rao weaving all over the track to try and break the toe. I think Doberman lost the position to him, but he had a great run, did the Renault, and the race neutralised for the time being, as the two Ferraris not having the best of things at the start. And without that VSC, I'm sure it was all going to kick off down into turn number 14. But the race on pause. Renzo Lang's gained, I think, 3 positions from sort of all the carnage that ensued at the top end of the circuit. And we're waiting to get racing once again. See who's going to be the most raciest at the start and who's going to get the perfect jump on things. We get racing anytime soon now. Who's going to be in the best position as well to get the jump? And it looks like they're pushing out the corner. Not quite. Renzo Lang just avoiding the Williams in front. We get racing once again now. And it looks like Doberman having a look on the Renault of Rao, but not quite as they go into it. Rao's been spun. I think Rao might have been hit by Doberman. Didn't quite see it. I don't want to speculate too much, but Doberman dropping down into P6 now as Enns managed to slot past him as well. Pete has managed to get past Undertaker on the hards, and Lashmat and Goose side by side now as they run through the middle part of the lap. Goose still on the inside and holds the position on the corner. Lashmat trying to find a way past as Pete, and it's a dive from Undertaker. Good bit of contact between them. Who's going to be on the inside, and the hard runner gets through and running wide. There is a Haas, and that's going to allow Goose to slot past him. Not quite though. He's going to be on the inside of him as further up they look to be how they were, and he's slotting behind us. Ronnie Karma, a bit of contact, and that is spinning round. Is Gu, and he has dropped right down the order now. And Undertaker though still on the back of Pete the Pirate's right on the back of Undertaker, and further up the field no one seems to be close enough to be having any goes down into turn 14 on this lap. It's very close right at the front. Looking further up the field, Mighty Frack's about to have a go on Lashburn. Could be almost 3 wide into the corner, but they all well behaved, but running wide is Riley Karma, and further back Gu and Skipper having a battle. And trying to get a good exit now is Gu, see if he can do anything, but the Ferrari just gets ahead in towards the final corner. And further up the field, is anyone shaping up a move into turn number 1? It doesn't look like it on this lap. Well, I'll go back to the battle for P15 and go all over the back of the Ferrari as things stands. And we'll see if he can, doesn't look like he can do anything on this occasion. Rao on the back of Brandon in P3 at the moment. Has good pace in that Renault. Leon will be hoping he can use the soft tyres to maximum extent at the start of this race, especially before DRS kicks in. He's got that interval at almost a second. Brandon using the slipstream to try and keep with him now, and the gap definitely underneath a second at the moment. I assume there's going to be damage throughout the field for people as a bit of contact made. Hayward right on the back of Dopeman, who's struggling a bit at the moment. Doesn't look to have front wing damage, but the Mercedes looking good at the moment as Rao right on the back of Brandon. Has got a fantastic run through turn number 13 in. He's going to have DRS, but I think the Mercedes will as well. But already right behind is Rao, and looking to go down the inside now into turn number 14. He gets the move done under braking and keeps it tight, but it's been a fantastic switchback from Brandon, and he's going to try and get a good speed, but it's Rao who's got fantastic speed coming out the corner, to be fair to him. As further back the field, Composite managing to get past Undertaker to go into P8. As Rao sets the fastest lap of the race, it's a right battle at the front. Rao is batting with Liam, and he's actually gone into P1. Rao getting the 2 positions in pretty much 3 corners, and Brandon now trying to follow Rao in, and he's going to go up the inside of the Alfa Romeo. So Brandon not letting Rao get away at all into this race. Fantastic move from round. Well done to Brandon for following him through. Of course, very difficult in turn one. Now to Alfa Romeo's battling. Can Renz get past his teammate? Going to look up the inside. And fair play to the Alphas, keeping it nice and clean. And on the exit now, who's going to get the better run at the corner? It looks like Renz de Lang has moved himself up the order as Gu comes into the pits now. I think he's put on soft tyres, so committing to a two-stop is the Red Bull. Further down the field, Pete on the back of Undertaker as they work their way through the turns of 7, 8, and then they'll drop down into turn number 9. A very exciting start from Riley Kalmer and Lachman, making this a 4-man battle for P9 at the moment. It's been a great run from Lachman, looking to get past the Renault, potentially before the main straight. He's going to go try and go around the outside. He's still there, is the Williams, and it's a fantastic move, it must be said. But now, with a DRS activation point being where it was, I'm not sure who's going to get DRS out of the pair of them, but further up the field as well. The Haas and the Toro Rosso battling as well, as it's DRS for Pete. Switches to the inside now, does the Haas, and looks to get the move done. Down into turn number 14, the Renault, and a bit of contact between the pair of them. And spinning now is the Toro Rosso, but the Haas sort of pushes him back round. And Pete does get past in the end. And Lachman kept hold of P11. But further back at the front, Brandon just within DRS range at the moment. And Liam stuck behind his teammate, who was slowly dropping back. I think those soft tyres compromising the two Alfa Romeos a little bit at the moment. Of course, a long race left to go. We can still see anything as ends right on the back of Liam now as they run towards turn number 6. Maybe trying to, as the Alfa Romeo covers the inside, he looks to go diving around the outside now. Does the Williams, still there on the Alfa Romeo, and who's going to get the better exit? It looks like the Alfa Romeo's just got enough speed and keeps ahead as they dive into turn number 7 in single file, really, from this point onwards. But the Alfa Romeo's not quite having the speed they did in qualifying. I think it's all down to those soft tyres already starting to go off. Of course, track that demands a lot from the tyres, and see a bit of a train behind the Alfa Romeos at the moment, with Hayward in the mix as well for pretty much the final podium position, but ends trying to find a way past, and surely now getting a much better exit, and he could already be past him before the start of the straight. We see him flick past now, and he just has to slot in behind, but he's going to be within the slipstream and within the toe now. Is the Williams driving further back, Lachman getting past Undertaker. We're going to watch this all from Dopey Man's perspective pretty much, and as they go down towards turn number 14, Ends is already past, but going back past, having another look was Liam, but wasn't close enough to have another dive back through for the position. And up into P4 goes Ends of the Williams, another fastest lap of the race for Rao, as Renz de Lang does come into the pits now, getting rid of those softs. It'll be interesting to see if he's going for the 2-stop. We're going to try and risk the 1-stop with hards to the end. Composite and the rest of the field getting promoted too. Ends up into the podium spot now in that Williams. And it looks like Renz de Lang going to come out in P15 further down the field, but it's now Dope Man all over the back of Liam. Will he be having to go down into turn 6? I mean, it's going to be maybe a carbon copy of what happened on the previous lap, I should say. Trying to go around the outside as Roddy Kalmer and Mighty Frax are pretty much side by side as they come out of turn number 3 and going towards maybe a dive from the racing point, but not on this occasion. And ahead of this, Lachman and Undertaker fighting it out. Lachman just a tuck behind on this occasion. Dope Man though still all over the back of the Alfa Romeo. Hayward ready to get involved as well. Hayward having a look on the inside before the DRS activation point. Might as well wait till the main straight, make it a nice clean overtake. But of course, with still 22 laps left of racing, we've got a long way to go in this race. So it's running very wide. There is the Mercedes trying to carry as much speed as he humanly could. But now with DRS, Dope Man and McLaren surely closing in on the Alfa Romeo. But Alfa Romeo's got fantastic straight line speed, and Dope Man just too far back to have a go on this occasion. As running wide there is Liam. Can Dope Man take advantage of this as they run now towards turn number 16 and going through, and actually coming into the pits now is Liam. So following his teammate a lap later, we'll see if he manages, if his teammate manages the undercut. All the way over. Renz de Lang has actually come in 4 hards, and it's a 5-second penalty to compound Liam's early pit stop as well. Mighty Frax on the back of Sam. I think has managed to get past him if I'm correct. Apologies for missing that one. As they go into the snail-shelled turns 1, 2, 3 and then 4. And it looks like Liam has to slot in behind his teammate, but both of them going hard now, so both could try and go to the end. As Lashmate looking for a move up the inside, but couldn't quite find it. And Undertaker just manages to hold P8 on the hards. Mighty Frax still behind that McLaren, but audacious dive from the Williams, and he just couldn't quite squeeze through on this occasion. But at the front, Rao having a fantastic race and looking to make it 2 wins in a row after winning in Bahrain last time out. Further back in the field, with Mighty Frax managed to get past Sam. Maybe a small mistake and a bit of contact between these two, and that pushes the Racing Point very, very wide indeed. And is that a bit of front wing damage? It didn't seem to be for the McLaren now, and he'll be the one on the back, and surely with DRS as well, as they're both trying to carry as much speed as they can through turn number 13. Hayward on the back of Dopey Man as well at the moment, as they're making their way towards the final corner now. But closing in is the McLaren, but not closing in enough on this occasion. Skipper having a look just behind as well, can't do anything as things stands. Hayward on the back of Dopey Man, but as the straight ends, he just has to tuck in behind as things stands, but looking to go up the inside, as both of them taking very different lines through the first couple of corners. See Mighty Frax and Sam had a look up the inside there, but just had to tuck in behind. Of course, do want to get chopped off the line of this corner, but running very wide. There is Mighty Frax getting onto the grass and just sliding out wide. Here's the Racing Point, and he loses a position to Skipper as well. So not great couple of corners for him, but Hayward, as the sun is coming out now here in Shanghai, Hayward on the back of the McLaren, and he'll be hoping that DRS will be enough for him. So let's compare ERS levels. Hayward does have a lot more to play with, so he'll be able to attack for much longer at the moment. And he's actually the furthest hard runner at the moment, so looking to go mediums in his last stint potentially, and be very racy towards the end in comparison to the hard tyre runners now. But it'll be DRS for the Mercedes, and on the back of the McLaren, he looks like he's going to, this could potentially be a slam dunk move up the inside. He looks to the inside now, and down the inside goes Hayward, but the McLaren's not going to give it up easily. Gives him a nice lot of room on the inside, and he's going to get a fantastic exit. Here's the McLaren, but Hayward still there, but McLaren slots ahead. So great defensive driving from Dopey Man, of course the current championship leader as things stands. Before we take today's results into account, Rentelang really closing in on the Mighty Frax, but no move on this occasion. As they come out of turn number 14 through the no corner of 15 and into the final corner. Can he ever go very, very wide there for the Alfa Romeo? And he seems to have lost a lot of time in that, but Sam H had a look at Riley Karma, but not quite on this occasion for the McLaren driver. He was still on the back of Dopey Man, and those hard tyres look like they're coming into their own at the moment. The hard tyre runners seem to be having the better of things. What we've seen is Good comes into the pit lane, getting rid of those soft tyres, and hard to the end maybe for the Red Bull man, and it looks like it could be. Hoping for a safety car now at some point, but Hayward still on the back of Dopey Man as they run now down towards turn number 11. We see them come through 12 and then around the long corner of 13. Dopey Man running a little bit wide now, and Hayward getting onto the marbles, but that's going to really compromise him as Dopey Man is shot off into the distance in this phase of the straight. And with DRS, how will the Mercedes driver fare? He's closing in on him, but not enough on this occasion. But further back in the field, Mighty Frax has lost out to Renton, of course, having much fresher tyres, much fresher hard tyres than the Racing Point. Hayward's still frustrated behind the McLaren at the moment. And Sam H right on the back of the Renault, closing in, but not quite enough on this occasion, and just has to stay behind again. Got a good battle for P12 at the moment, as the guys who have pitted are closing in. And they're only trying to, that looked like a fantastic exit for Renzo. He's going to have DRS on the Ferrari, and can he do anything now into turn number 1? He's going to have a look. Is he not? No, just tucks behind on this occasion now, but could try and find a different line through the first couple of corners. Not looks to be too far back. I think so, but maybe a move down into turn number 6 of the McLaren. Within a second of the Renault, just in front of them, and getting a fantastic exit is the Alfa Romeo on the fresher tyres, and could be looking to go round the outside of the Ferrari as they go down in towards turn number 6. They're going to be side by side. There's contact between the two of them. I don't know what happened there, but he's now inside the track. But wow, that was an almighty crash from what seemed to be a bit of tyre banging, and that's put the Alfa Romeo now down into P15. Skipper's only in 13th. That was almost like an explosion went off there. Hayward still on the back of Dopey Man. I wasn't expecting that, I'll be honest. They went side by side. I think just a bit of tyre contact, and bam, both of them spinning off in a spectacular fashion, it must be said. But Skipper currently holding on. The two Alfa Romeos going side by side now as Liam looks to try and hold the position. It looks like Renzo Lang has managed to get past, and the Ferrari has gone in contact between the two of them. I think they've all gotten away without a retirement, but the Ferrari, I think, had his own issue and collected by the Alfa of Renzo Lang. Not a great lap for these guys at the moment. The Ferrari powered cars having a torrid time today, apart from Pete, who's had a good race so far, and issues for Sam in the McLaren, who's seemed to be racy so far, and it could be an easy overtake for the Mighty Fractal. Welcome a bit of DRS as Roddy Comer comes into the pits as well, so maybe a bit of damage for him. Looks like they've got a front ring ready for that Renault, and going hard now to the end. It seems as Mighty Frax has got past the ghost of Sam. Hopefully he can try and jump back into the session. But Hayward still stuck behind the McLaren of Dopey Man. What can he do? Yes, it's not been ideal for the two new brothers, it must be said, but hopefully they can, hopefully JC can try and recover with a safety car if we get one. As Hayward on the back of Dopey Man. Fantastic camera angle this is. And onto the back straight. Seems to have just about kept the speed, but I think he's going to be too far back as they run now down towards turn number 14. He's going to have DRS. I mean, Dopey Man doesn't have any ERS to play with, but still. Hayward closed in under braking. Just about gets it slowed down and really does close in on the McLaren. So back, Liam has got past the ghost of Sam. Undertaker on the back of Pete as well within a second. Hayward's still there, and can now he make a charge in towards turn number 1. As into the pits comes Ends on the medium tyres. So he's making a move within the pit stop phase now, triggering it as a 3-second penalty for multiple warnings for Undertaker. As Renz gets past Sam as well. Banks coming into the pits on the hard tyres. He's coming out of the pits now. And where will he feed in? I think he is going to slot in ahead into P9. So good call, it must be said, for the Williams driver. Coming in now, trying to make the undercut work. He's got a bit of a gap. He's got his teammate in front of him as the two Alfa Romeos have swapped positions according to the side. So maybe a bit of tactics for them. Further up the field though, it's Rout who still leads the way as he's coming on to great ERS saving, it must be said, for him as well. Utilising it on the straights. Dopey Man in P3 still with Hayward right on the back of him. Composites had a nice quiet race, keeping it clean in P5. P6 of Pete as well, and Undertaker's 7th, trying to close in now on the hard tyres. But ends in P9. Making this undercut work for him, hopefully. And we'll see if the guys further at the front react to this. We'll see. Oh, making a lead, making a move for P3 is Hayward, and looking to go down the inside of Dopey Man. Can he hold it like he did when they previously battled? He's going to try the same tactic, but I think they're still going to be side by side. But I think Dopey Man is just going to get the position, but he dives straight into the pits, very aggressive for the Mercedes, for the McLaren driver. But comes in the pits, copying round. The two Mercedes now lead a 1-2. But that could have been carnage if Hayward turned into the corner. It's Composite into the pits as well. Now gets his slow down in time. He's got quite a few drivers coming into the pits now. Where's Rouse slotted out? He's slotted out into P3. Pete behind him, so he's not been held up too much, and it's going to be a very Clean race for Rowley, must be said, who's looking to mount a charge onto that championship. And we'll see ends still in P6 as things stand. We'll see, it'll be interesting to see where he comes out after Haywood and Brandon Pitt, because he was sort of behind them. And yeah, Skipper looking to get past the ghost of Sam at the moment. Ren's on the back of Mighty Fractures, had a poor exit, getting onto the curb a bit there, but he's going to keep it ahead into the Ghosts are going side by side. Undertaker on the back of Pete now. The gap has closed to 0.6 of a second now. Both of them haven't pitted yet. Undertaker, of course, on the hard compound tyres, so tyres will be feeling probably a bit better than the mediums, but grinding onto that curve, and that drags him wide, and now he's lost a lot of time to the Haas in front as they run down the main straight. Will start to gain. Oh, keep getting fooled by the Ghost, but Rentelang is right on the back of the racing one, looking to get the move done already before the corner, before the straight, I should say. And as they come in towards the main straight, it's the Brandon comes to the pits now as well in the Mercedes. But looking to come back at him now is Mighty Frax. Will he try and send one down the inside? Rentelang covers the inside very boldly and gets the move done. So got the move done nice and early as his teammate right behind as well. Brandon coming, has already slotted. He's come out into P3 now. Has the Mercedes driver just behind Rowley's a corner or two up the road. Pete into the pits as well now. And Dopeman moves up, but Ents has actually pipped Dopeman. So the undercut working for the Williams driver. Obviously Composite getting promoted as well as Skipper coming into the pits. Pete's going to come out the pits, and where's he going to slot into this equation? He'd just be behind Composite in the Red Bull, holding on to, I think, his effective track position. Ends on the back of Undertaker, of course, having much fresher tyres in this phase of the race as Skipper comes into the pit lane for some hard tyres, and he just slots out now. But ends right on the back of Undertaker, of course, hasn't pitted yet in this race. Having a look into turn number 11, but thinks about it cleverly. Of course, he's going to have DRS in a moment's time. Undertaker's got all the DRS to play with in the world. Been saving it massively, maybe for a moment like this. Lashback gets past the Ghost that keeps fooling me every time. And running now, he's going to be open DRS, and surely now the Williams will be getting past on the run towards turn number 14. Down the hill, and it's Liam's getting past. Liam's getting past. It's gone off. Someone's gone off. It's a Mighty Frax who's gone off, and he's had a spin. Rouse is the fastest lap of the race. Looking to try and pick up all 26 points, but the Racing manages to keep it in the top 10 as things stand. Undertaker, can he fight it back on the Williams? Looks to be too far back, even with DRS. Composite looking to get past the Racing Point that had his moment just moments ago. And as they run now towards, will he duck into the pit lane for those 13 lap old hards? He doesn't, so that implies no damage from his little excursion at turn number 13. Further up the field, Undertaker to keep him within a second as things stand, but I'm assuming with the tyre difference, Ends will pull away slightly in this part of the lap as Mighty Frax had another moment on those hard compound tyres, and he's dropped down the field again, unfortunately, for the Racing Point. Lashback Pro to P11 and Pete to P10, but Rao closing in on Haywood at the moment, of course, hasn't pitted, started on those hard tyres. Trying to make the alternate strategy work for him. Pete is on the back of Composite. As things stand, can he stay with him and then use a bit of DRS down into turn number 14? We'll see. Maybe the dirty air just affecting him a bit there as he's dropped back a tad. But Rao definitely closing in on Haywood out front. So when will he be coming to the pit lane? Probably in a couple of laps time. He'll probably do maybe this lap potentially. Maybe try hold Rao up, bit of team play between the Mercedes boys. But as they go in towards turn number 2, the Renault closing in constantly with Brandon as he now enters the snail section in the first couple of corners, doing his best to try and close that gap as best he can, as early as he can. But Rao's got loads of ERS to play with. Fantastic management from the Renault. who looks very quick all season, and again today looks exactly the same. We'll have a look. Who's been the biggest gainer during this race, and it's been Undertaker at the moment, up 10 places, but I'm pretty sure he's not pitted just yet, as Marty Frax and Sam H both coming into the pits. But Haywood also up 8 places. I mean, he has got to pit again, but still he's going to be making big gains. I think at the Alpha's misfortunes, it must be said. But further back is Sam looks to be back in this race, so good news for him. Hopefully he'll try and get racing once again. Oh no, I don't think he has got back in, so unfortunate for him. But up at the front, Rout already passed Haywood. I mean, the gap was about 1.5 seconds, so Rout now up into P1. He was net P1 anyway, but P1 on track now, and as long as he keeps it nice and clean and there are no safety cars, as Haywood does come into the pit lane on this lap, so we'll be going mediums to the end of the race. Interesting where he'll slot out. I think he might be battling maybe the 2 Alfa Romeos when he comes back out onto the track. So Undertaker trying to carry as much speed as he can into the final part of the lap. About the front, I mean, unless there is a safety car or a major incident for the Renault, I can't see this being anything other than a Row win, and maybe 2 in a row for him, getting the brace. And Haywood has slotted out ahead of the Alfa Romeos. So on the medium tyres now, he'll have the McLaren in his sights on the straight, and he'll be trying to hunt him down, but Renzo Lang right on the back. Of course, Haywood not having those tyres fully warmed up just yet. Can the Alfa Romeo capitalise on that? They go down towards turn 6, be too far back on this occasion, but if he can stay with him through the middle part of the lap. But those medium tyres look to be already super quick on the Mercedes. See, are there any other battles further around the field? Pete and Composite still in P9 and P10 as we lost them. Goo on the back of Rightly Karma in the Renault. And going in towards turn number 6, the Red Bull still just behind the Renault, but he's going to get a fantastic exit. Is Goo now. Can he find a way past on the run towards turn number 7? He's going to have a look up the inside, but the door just shuts on him as Skipper Fortune gets a time penalty. I couldn't get my words out there as there was contact between the Renault and the Red Bull. And Goo almost spun there, but managing to hold it well. And he's been right on the back, getting a great run through 9 and 10. And could be looking for a move around the outside as they run down towards turn number 11. Can he hold it around the outside? He's going to be too far back at the moment, but getting a switch back as the Renault goes in a little bit too deep. As Undertaker comes into the pit lane, as well as getting rid of those hard compound tyres. Another Red Bull on the back, on the inside pretty much of the Renault, and it's crashed now. They come together now. Both of them seem to be out of the race, crashing out massively. We've got a VSC from that double retirement. Surely that's a safety car, but it's a massive crash, as I think the Renault just came across a little bit, and the speeds they were carrying sends them both into the wall, and surely that's a safety car. And Undertaker will be taking advantage of the VSC, and I think it's just managed to slot ahead of Pete and Lachmat. But come on, that's got to be a safety car. DRS has been enabled, so racing again already, but for a double retirement, surely a safety car. That would have really mixed things up. But bit of drama between the Renault and the Red Bull, as Rout keeps hold. Obviously the gap's still 7 seconds to Branham Hind, ends up into P3. Undercut working for him very well indeed, and now in the podium positions at the moment. Currently 4th in the championship, and this will be his first podium if he holds on to it. And definitely be nice to have a change of the podium runners. Of course, there so far the podium has been made up of Dave Mamral and Brandon in both Australia and Bahrain, so it'd be nice to get a bit of a mixture at the top. But now Lachmat onto the back of the Haas. Can he make a move? He's already gaining on him massively. This is a battle for the final points position at the moment. The Williams now looking to the inside. He's got DRS, and he's going to be past the Haas into the corner. But can the Haas fight back? He's going to try and hang it round the outside now, but has to yield the position on this occasion. And Undertaker on the back of Composite now. Those medium tyres starting to liven up, and the medium tyre runners getting on with their race and really pushing now. As Hayward closing up to Dopey Man as well for P4. As I think Mercedes are top of the constructors as things stand, if I'm correct. So Hayward and Brandon both of them having a good result at the moment. Alfa Romeo's getting good points tally as well, but now Undertaker looking to potentially go around the outside in towards turn number 6. He just about squeezes around the outside, tries to turn in, but the Red Bull of course is there. He's going to try and hold it around the outside now. Is the Toro Rosso. The Toro Rosso overtakes the Red Bull. Great move from Undertaker as he moves up now into P8. Maybe he can have a good middle sector to hold it down the back straight. But the battle for P8, P9 intensify, I'm sure, in a moment's time as Lachman and Pete are on the back of them and wanting to get involved for the final couple of points. Of course, with an 8-round series, every point matters. But Rao out in front will be getting the most points at the moment. Fastest lap and the winners things stand. As Hayward trying to carry as much speed as he can. Lachman on the back of Composite now as well. He's trying to break the toe as best he can. They go down in towards turn number 14. He's going to close in on the Red Bull, but not quite enough. Looking to double his points tally. Hayward sets a fast lap of the race now on the medium tyres, almost within a second of Dopey Man. It looks like Rao will only be getting 25 points today. Lachman still on the back of that Red Bull. Both of them have same aged tyres. And as we go into turn number 6, on board with Hayward, trying to get as close as he can to that McLaren. And then outrun through turn number 7. Mercedes car definitely having the better run of things on those fresher tyres. We'll see now as he comes towards, of course, where the DRS detection point is. He's definitely within a second at the moment. And I think it's just sort of where that line is, and they're definitely within a second there. And now, as you see, the Alfa Romeos in 6 and 7 just come through shot there as well. Will we see the Mercedes moving past the McLaren? He's already right on the back of him now, and as they come towards turn number 14, he's going to hug the inside of the McLaren, but the Mercedes looks to already be past. And going into the corner, it's deep from the McLaren. Both of them have gone in a little bit too deep. McLaren, I think, a little bit desperate to hold on to the position, and I think just will have to slot in behind on this occasion, losing out on P4 as Hayward keeps position. But with DRS now, can the McLaren fight back as they run towards turn 1? That Mercedes has got great pace on the medium tyres, but he's going to be too far back. Here's Dopey Man into turn number 1 as Lachman, they're going to get past. They go down in towards turn number 14. They're side by side, they're pushing each other around the corner, but I think the Williams has just about got the position. No, as Composite slots back in front and holds on to P9 at the moment. But the Williams will be coming straight back at him now as they go towards turn number 1. The Composite's going to hold the racing line as they go through, because if you're not on the racing line, it's very difficult into turn number 1. Trying to find a way around the outside, maybe. Not on this occasion, but Lachman does seem to have good pace in the other Williams. And we're hoping to try and find a way past the Red Bull in front, and with Pete right behind them as well. He's definitely helping Undertaker on the medium tyres. He's got a fresh track ahead of him, and with the two Alfa Romeos on the very old hards, he could have a bit of joy towards the end of this race as he closes the gap. But Lachman's still on the back of Composite. As because Dopey Man has managed to hold on to the Mercedes, and he'll definitely have DRS. But I just think he's just going to be too far back on this occasion. We'll see what he can do. He's put it up into overtake. Hayward's only a minute, so we'll be closing. I don't think he'll be closing by just about enough. Had a little glance in towards the corner, but he closed up massively in towards turn number 14. But Lachman right on the back of the Red Bull as well. As Mighty Frank's also on the back of Skipper, so we'll keep an eye on that in a moment's time. But Lachman closing in now, DRS open, and surely an easy move in towards turn number 14. He flicks to the inside, and will he get the job done before the corner? It looks like he will, and he slots ahead of the Rebel. Can the Rebel fire back on the exit? I don't think quite on this occasion. Dopey Man's hanging with Hayward, it must be said. So great stuff from him as Marty Frax now as he runs down the back straight. He's going to have DRS on the Ferrari in front of the battle for P12. Pete also on the back on the battle for P9 and looking to go up the inside is the Racing Point, and he's got the move done on the Ferrari. Bit of a lock up though, so can the Ferrari get the switch back as they run out the corner? He's going to have great speed, but I think the corner just comes too quickly for Skipper, and that's the slots in behind. Composite sticking with Latchmar at the moment, and he'll be hoping to try and fight back and try and make sure he holds on to points, because Pete of course right behind as well. He's got one lap fresher tyres, and that could be all the difference. Have a look at penalties in a moment's time when the battle was spread out a little bit, because I mean they're still within decent DRS range, so we'll see if there are any moves, but I'll definitely have a look at penalties within the next couple of laps, especially before Undertaker gets on the back of the racing, the Alfa Romeo, assuming he gets there of course. But we'll see if this battle can progress. Is running a little bit wide, there is Pete, and that's going to lose him a lot of ground to the cars in front. And Composite, I think, will he have DRS? He's not going to have DRS, so we're going to have to rely on slipstream. Williams braking it as best he can. Skipper's still on the back of the Racing Point. Overtook him on the last lap, and as they go into the corner, not quite on this occasion. They feel quite spread out at the moment. A few battles are out, but we'll have a look at penalties now and see who has what. So Rout at the front has 2 warnings, 3 warnings. So maybe one of the warnings might be just for a collision, but on the edge at the moment, Brandon is penaltyless at the moment. Enns has 1 penalty. Sorry, 1 warning. Hayward, 1 warning as well. No penalty at the moment. Got a warning for Dopey Man. Renz de Lang has got a warning and a 3-second time penalty and a warning and a penalty, so not great for him. I think one of them might have been pit lane. Liam has got a 5-second penalty for pit lane. Undertaker has got a few warnings and a penalty and a warning. Latchmar 2 warnings. Composite a warning, and we'll just check on the race, make sure nothing has happened. Peter's actually got a penalty while we've been looking, so trying his best to keep on the back of that Red Bull. The gap at the front has come down, it must be said, by a second, so Brandon has got better pace on these hard tyres, it seems. Bit more ERS as well. Hayward closing the gap on Enns, so trying to make it both Mercedes on the podium. Of course, these two battling to try and get their first podiums of the Asia Cup, and we'll jump back onto the penalty count. Of course, Pete, I think, getting his final warning and a penalty on that last lap. Mighty Frax absolutely clean at the moment. Skipper got a 10-second penalty for, I don't know, I missed that one completely, so maybe hopefully try and get that removed if it wasn't deserved. Sam H has got two warnings. JC is warningless, and I think everybody else has retired. So people doing relatively well today, keeping it pretty much clean. Hayward down the gap, 3.4 seconds. Seems to be hoping he can hold on to that final podium position, but with 5 laps remaining, can the Williams driver do it? As I mean, might as well check, see what the last what sort of lap times they're setting at the moment. Hayward at the moment is sort of looking in the low 1 minute 36s at the moment after setting that fastest lap, and ends at the moment sort of in the low 1 minute 37s. So sort of a second a lap at the moment seems to be what Hayward is pulling out on the Williams driver. The gap at the front is now into the 5s. So Brandon definitely has got the pace at the moment. We'll do another little lap comparison. Route at the moment is sort of mid 36s, mid to high 36s. Brandon at the moment is looking at sort of more middle range 1 minute 36s, and sort of a bit more fluctuating, but at the moment is finding time around the circuit as the gap now between 3rd and 4th has dropped underneath 2 seconds. And with 3 laps to go, once we complete this lap, I think the gap at the front might just be too big for the Mercedes to have a challenge at the lead, because one thing to catch drivable, and it's another thing to pass even with the DRS on this track. And see further back in the field, everyone sort of similar gaps throughout. Pete is just falling back a tiny bit. He's lost out of DRS range from composite, and that will be challenging, hurting his chances of getting past the Red Bull. Lashmar on P9 at the moment, just 5 seconds behind Undertaker, who's not quite closed in, I think, like he would have wanted on those medium tyres. The two Alfa Romeos making the hards last and doing a very good job on them. Be well on P6 and P7 if they finish where they were. The gap now, maybe a bit of DRS from Sam H for Hayward there, and the gap's now 2.4 seconds at the moment. So he's got DRS on this straight, so utilising that as best he can. So he runs towards turn number 1. And we'll see now the Mercedes driver, the gap almost underneath 2 seconds at the moment, and I think this will be probably the final battle. We've got Skipper trying to have another go at Mighty Frax, with the gap just sort of fluctuating just above 1 second. Hayward 2 seconds back from the final podium spot. The medium tyres definitely seem in better stead at the moment. You can see the Mercedes right in the background now. He's applying the pressure to Enz. You can now see him if he looks behind him in the corners. Also, you can see him on the straight. But these guys are a bit adrift from the two leaders. They've had a faultless race so far, it must be said. Rowell and Brandon doing everything right at the moment in this race. The gap has now come down to 5.2 seconds. So Brandon definitely has got better pace towards the end of this race, but Rowell getting the job done. And to be fair, he doesn't need to push massively. The gap now is second between Hayward and Enz. Come down quite a bit in that last middle sector, and could have, not going to have DRS on this occasion, but as I come onto the pit straight, if he can close on him by just a fraction, he could be looking to have a go on the final lap of this race, or penultimate lap. Of course, Rowell has started the final lap now. He's got yellow flag in sector 3 for Undertaker. Was going to get past Liam, and Liam, I think, has had a small issue. Those hard tyres giving up, and Undertaker does profit from it. Coming out of turn number 13. Luckily he's only lost 1 position. At the moment Hayward's still on the back. We've got 2 laps to go for these guys if you include the lap they're currently on. So it could be a last corner move for the final podium spot, as the gap now underneath 1 second. So we're hoping he gets a dose of DRS on this penultimate lap. And does have more ERS to play with, and that will definitely help him to try and defend. But Pete almost within a second off composite, as he's got DRS at the moment, so how can close up, but he needs to keep with the Red Bull, and they're battling over the final points position. They've got a battle for third and a battle for the final point, so a lot of stake at these last couple of laps. Hayward now almost within half a second of the Williams, so with DRS he could even get the move done on this lap. As En's running wide there, running wide is the Williams, actually really compromising the Mercedes already up the inside, and Tim's got past, but running onto the grass it is Hayward. Can he keep it out the wall? Just about, but that's going to promote Dopey Man up into P4. How many more positions will he lose? Can he get out ahead of the Alfa Romeo? And that's going to surely guarantee Enz the final podium spot. He's going to come back onto the track now, is the Mercedes, and I think the Alfa Romeo will just slot past. Can Hayward get him back now? He's going to go into DRS. He does have DRS, ironically, of course. And now Pete on the back of the Red Bull of composite, and it's come alive in these last couple of laps. All of a sudden, we've got battles all over the field. And Hayward right on the back of Renz. We could see a last time move as Rowell does start his final lap of this race. And DRS for the Mercedes driver. Going to try and get back P5, and luckily for him, that spin didn't cost him much more. Pete right on the back of composite, but not quite past on this occasion. Hayward, of course, has got pretty much half the age tyres that the Alfa does, losing the rear end, but holding the slide, and that's not going to help the tyres at all. Those 11 lap old mediums will feel much better, I'm sure, than those hards. 22 laps he spent on them. And Mercedes as the gap now at the top is 4.1, so Brandon doing really well to reel it in. But of course, Rao getting the job done much earlier in this race and controlling it pretty much from the start. But Hayward now 3/10 behind, and Pete is also pretty much within touching distance of the Red Bull. McCann Renz keep it clear. We're on the final lap of the race. Rao has come up to the final corner now. We'll flick to him very briefly to watch him cross the line. It's going to be a win, a second win in a row for Rao, who takes the championship lead in the Asia Cup. Great win for the Renault driver. And further back in the field, we got Brandon taking home P2 deservedly. Enns will take P3, but it's Hayward who's looking to try and get P5 now. He's going to have DRS on the Alfa Romeo. He's going to have the speed on him. Alfa Romeo covers the inside. Bowley wanting to hold on to this position. Enns does take P3, and going round the outside is the Mercedes, but Renzelac holds it on the inside now, and he's going to keep P5 as they go in towards the final corner. And brilliant defensive driving there for the Alfa Romeo, and he takes P5 with, unfortunately for him, a few penalties about, and that does promote Hayward into P5 anyway. Undertaker will take home P7. I think had a fantastic race. Did start further back, I'm pretty sure. Liam comes P8, but Lashmont does jump him with a time penalty. But yeah, great race from Undertaker, moving up 8 places. So fantastic stuff from him, starting 15th. Lashmont also having a good race, moving up for Liam. Being compromised by the soft tyres at the start, but still P9, good 2 points for him. Composite keeps hold of P10 with Pete behind him, P11. Mighty Frax will come round the final corner to take P12. And the last man just behind him is Skipper in 13th. But that rounds off round number 3 with the C4 in the Asia Cup. Good race around Shanghai, dominated by Brandon and Rao. As we await for the podium, it's the Renault driver who stands on the top spot once again, joined of course by the Mercedes driver. We have a new face on the podium of Enns, and that will make sure he keeps hold of P4 in the championship. But despite late drama for Hayward, it's a good result for the Mercedes team nonetheless. I think we'll be holding their lead at the top of the constructors, but it's a win for Rao, who moves clear at the top of the drivers' standings, and they'll be very happy with that, I'm sure. Great race, to be fair, and I think getting the fastest lap was Hayward, so be getting an extra point for Mercedes as well. But it's Rao who takes the top spot in the Renault. We've got Brandon P2, Enns P3, first podium of the season, the first new face on the podium after the first 2 rounds. Doman takes P4, P5 for Hayward, promoted after the penalty for Renz. Great battle between them 2 on the last lap. Undertaker P7, biggest gainer, starting 15th. Lashmut P8, another person who made up a lot of places during this race. Liam P9, Composite 10th, Pete is 11th, Mighty Frax is 12th, Skipper is 13th, Sam H 14th, JC 15th, Riley Karma and Gu unfortunately not finishing the race. But a good race here at Shanghai, and I hope everyone has enjoyed the action throughout. And of course we have one more race in the Asia Cup at Shanghai. Of course we've got the C5 tomorrow, so join in for that at 7 o'clock. But of course it's Baku for round 4, what these guys will be focusing on now, of course, next Wednesday for them. I hope everyone has enjoyed now. Great race for Rao and Brandon, and we'll see everybody very soon here at RLH.